Yes, yes, yes! It's finally here. The end of the year. Nobody fear. I will steer this video in the direction of my top 15 EPs of 2024. Yep, it's list week. And I'm Anthony Fantano, the internet's busiest music nerd. It's time to go over the best and worst of everything musically 2024 had to offer. And per usual, we are going to kick things off with those little records that are not so small. They're singles, nor are they so big they're albums. They fit somewhere in the middle. Extended plays. There are many that drop every year, and in my opinion, these 15 were the best that I heard. So let's start at number 15. That is going to be the Komputer EP from Franek, Warzywa, and Młody Budda. I always struggle to pronounce their stuff and their names, but if you've been following this channel, you know these guys are like my favorite internet Polish bedroom freak pop weirdos. And with the chaotic, funny, and very cheeky set of songs on this new EP, they continue that streak. Because, yeah, even though the tracks on this record are quite catchy and colorfully produced at points, they're also so chaotic and wildly produced that they almost kind of shoot themselves in the foot with just their outright absurdity. But if you're looking for something that is going to be a bit of an earworm in your head and also maybe tickle your funny bone a bit with just how outlandish it is, the Komputer EP is where you want to go. Next at number 14, that is going to be the home single from Foxtails. This CT-based group are back with a handful of tracks to follow up their 2022 album that I enjoyed quite a bit, and they are essentially giving us another helping on this one of their very kind of raw basement show screamo sound with a great mix of heavier bits, more melodic clean passages, as well as violin kind of just humming away in the background of a lot of these tracks too. The band's sound and songwriting style continues to be beautiful, dynamic, but also very raw and quite intentionally ugly in all of the right ways too. And the three tracks we have on this project are handily some of the best stuff I've heard in the screamo field over the past year. At number 13, that is going to be Chelsea Wolfe's Unbound EP. If you are familiar with Chelsea Wolfe as a singer, as a songwriter, most likely you have heard her amazing and fantastic She Reaches Out to She record that dropped earlier this year. For sure that album is resonating with you if you are at all a fan of gothic rock or industrial rock or trip hop, anything that is thick and bassy and synthy, maybe slightly shoegazy at points too. But the interesting thing about this album is that it's most definitely one of Chelsea's thickest and most synthetic projects yet. Just a super heavy, dense, just methodically produced sound throughout this album. And while the record is great and certainly going to rank very high on my year-end list, there is a certain, I think, kind of intimacy that is lost in the process of delivering these tracks specifically like this for this record. And the Unbound EP essentially fixes that problem, if in fact it even is a problem, by essentially taking several key tracks from the record and stripping them back into much more acoustic versions. So you actually do get like a very intense and upfront performance of the tracks from the record, along with a pretty cool spirit box cover as well that goes over quite nicely. But yes, the songs on this record are beautiful. They are haunting, unquestionably, and it's just great that Chelsea has allowed for them to be kind of consumed in a slightly different light, given just the success and very specific direction that her recent album went in. At number 12, that is going to be The Garden with 6 Desperate Ballads, one of the weirdest and most chaotic duos out there in underground music. Proves to us with 6 more songs that, yes, they are pretty much unparalleled when it comes to very odd, weird, weird, jerky, chaotic, punk-adjacent music. Because that's kind of the thing. I feel like a lot of the time the Garden makes punk without overtly embracing the genre in a way, much in the way that bands like Devo did back in the day. But I think the Garden comes to very different conclusions in terms of ethos and overall vibe. The sound on this record is much more scuzzy and odd. And this project essentially just shows us how creative they continue to be, whether they are giving us a rock rager, more synthy or dancey cut, or even a ballad on this thing. But yes, thrilling and also very difficult to pigeonhole and define are probably two of the most defining characteristics of the Garden and their sound. That continues to be the case on this EP, which is why it's ranked at number 12. At 11, shout out to Intercourse for their record Egyptian Democracy. On this EP, these guys operate with a pretty cool combination of noise rock and hardcore, as well as maybe like a little bit of sludge and post-hardcore too. The riffs are chaotic. The vocals are unhinged and just a kind of mutant at points. If you're into bands like Chat Pile, I think you will get a lot out of what Intercourse offers here. But this band, by comparison, isn't so much heavy as much as they are just about speed and just like cutthroat aggression. The guitars are raw as hell. The drummer is a total powerhouse, and the songs are just absolutely relentless in terms of their energy. If you're looking for something on the louder side and the more chaotic side, this Intercourse record is what you are going to want to spin for sure. Moving into the number 10 spot, that is going to be the Corpus 2 EP2 from Show Me the Body. This East Coast-based project for a while now has continued this little Corpus project series where they engage in a series of neat and surprising crossovers and collaborations with a very wide array of artists. They put together 2 EPs under the Corpus 2 name this year and kind of put them together as a mixtape, but specifically for this list, I wanted to highlight the second of these 2 EPs, which features a lot of great collaborations across the project from not only Blackie, but also Spelling, surprisingly. Very few bands out there are bringing a sound as brittle and as noisy and as chaotic and as cathartic as Show Me the Body is. The bangers and ragers on this record are certainly reflective of those intense highs. But also, what's surprising about this EP is just how subtle and beautiful some of the low-key moments manage to be. But yeah, very good EP all around, and Show Me the Body continues to be one of the most creative and surprising groups in the underground. We also have an EP at number 9 that surprised me this year from none other than Justin Vernon, aka Bon Iver, the SABLE EP. And yeah, Justin, in a very focused manner on this project, just goes back into acoustic singer-songwriter territory with 3 absolutely gorgeous and compelling ballads with some of his most heart-wrenching and moving melodies and refrains in a very, very, very long time. It's just kind of cool to hear Justin going back in this direction, because I feel like he's been kind of sidestepping it for a long time, maybe because this is exactly the sort of thing that fans expect from him, given just how he sort of broke into the indie market musically. But now that he's like kind of back at this indie folk thing, as it were, with this EP, he sounds amazing. He sounds fantastic. The guitar work is great. The vocals are killer. The lyrics stay stuck in my head, even though the production overall is very warm and low-key and subtle. But yes, I'm sort of hoping that this EP is pointing in the direction of more material like this down the road in 2025, potentially. But yeah, Bon Iver. SABLE, number 9. At 8, we are going to give it to Agriculture with the Living is Easy EP. It's sort of cool at this point to hear the down-the-road progression of underground black metal bands on the American side who are clearly taking nods from groups that made waves throughout the 2010s, be they Deaf Heaven, be they Liturgy, whatever. But yes, on this EP, we also have very powerful, very epic, melodic, fluid and furious black metal performances, most notably on the title track, which is just, I think, the best track the band has written and recorded to date. That is contrasted really well with a low-key ballad, another fire metal track, a poem on the back end of the project too, and it's just a fantastic listen all around. I think some of the best material I've heard in this lane in a minute, and I hope that it leads to more stuff that is of this grade on future agriculture projects. At number 7, shout out to Bad Bad Not Good with Baby Rose on this Slow Burn EP. Bad Bad Not Good, the famed jazz fusion multi-genre Canadian band, has been quite active as of late, mostly with like this mid-spiral EP series that culminated into an entire album earlier this year. But what stuck with me most release-wise from them was this little side quest EP they dropped, Slow Burn, which sees them heading into a straight-up soul direction, and Baby Rose was the perfect addition to do a project exactly like this, not only because she is a great singer, but also she just has this uniquely weary voice, and together they're able to plug into this beautiful vintage sound with great playing and songwriting all around. And yeah, not only is this EP beautiful, but it's eerily beautiful. And yes, that is going to be my number 7. At number 6, we have kind of an interesting surprise. That is going to be the Pop or P.O.P EP from Marina Satti, who is an up-and-coming pop artist from Greece, of all places. And the vocals and production and auto-tune on this new project over here is wild. It is chaotic. It is over the top. It reminds me of very raw, danceable, bombastic underground pop that was super fire back in the 2000s, you know, the likes of MIA, stuff like that, but like a totally different series of influences. Marina is definitely on her own trajectory here, but you know, I would say that what she is bringing us is a very bold and chaotic brand of international pop that gives us some great ballads, some very bold ragers, as well as a 10-minute multifaceted posse cut that is actually quite killer too. Yeah, just when you think you have this like project figured out, it kind of hits you with something else that's weird. But simultaneously, like the tunes and the production and everything on this record, it's just so bright, it's just so catchy. It's like the perfect mix of left field but also accessible. But yes, hopefully we get some more pop from Marina in the near future. Number 5, I'm going to shout out Amaarae with her Roses Are Red extended play Fountain Baby project. Again, that's Roses Are Red, Tears Are Blue. Fountain Baby, you guys might remember, was one of my favorite albums of last year. And with this project, she has essentially given us a deluxe edition of the album, but I guess she's like also categorized the additional disc of tracks she has thrown into the mix as its own EP. And look, on this new series of songs, Amaarae essentially continues to show us why she is like the most futuristic kind of cutting edge artist out there right now when it comes to a lot of these, you know, Afrobeats tracks that are going crazy as of late. Because while she holds to many of those same rhythms and grooves, that much is true, the production she tends to favor is very spacey, is very synthy, is again quite futuristic, very forward thinking, and also she just continues to smash track after track after track with her completely unique, one-of-a-kind voice that is very angelic and thin and high-pitched, but also nimble in terms of her delivery. She just darts from note to note to note to note. The flows and rhythmic pockets she hits on these tracks are insane too. And yeah, I presume on some level these tracks are either Fountain Baby extras or afterthoughts, and it's just great to sort of hear that, you know, through this album cycle, she still has like so much more heat to share, which makes me even more excited to see what she's going to do down the road on her next project. Next, at number 4, I want to shout out Haru Nemuri as well as Frost Children for their Soul Kiss EP. And I've said this before, I will say it again, this is like, for me, one of the most unexpected crossovers ever of all time. Like, however would Frost Children, this electro clash, pop rock, underground Western music duo, end up crossing paths with this amazing genre-defying, like shoegaze and noise pop and, sort of like math rock Japanese artist. But hey, it somehow happened, and it actually ends up being like the best of both worlds when it comes to their respective sounds. Like, not only do they provide enough space for one another to do their thing on this project, but like, again, like the rockier elements and the more electro clash elements that land on this project too, they marry very well into some very chaotic, explosive, and ultra catchy songs. Really some of the best material either artist has to their name to date. And yeah, really the only issue with this project that I have is that there just wasn't more to come out of their collaborative efforts together. At number 3, we are going to go with Ugly with their Twice Round the Sun project. And not only is this EP great, but it's actually like one of those EPs that feels almost thick and dense and substantial enough to actually be an album. Like, if you added 1 or 2 more tracks, we're pretty much talking album territory here. And yeah, if you have at all been following the UK rock scene at this point, there's been like a lot of really cool post-punk and art rock and art punk groups that have been really coming up from there as of late. And Ugly is most definitely one of those bands too. However, their sound is much folkier in terms of its instrumental palette and its inspo on the songwriting side as well. Some of the pluckier timbres of instrumentation on this record feel a little akin to bluegrass at points too, but don't let that make you think that the band isn't on to something that is kind of forward-thinking and progressive here. They most certainly are, as on this record they deliver one epic winding song after the next, some more narrative-based than others, with killer performances, great vocal harmonies. Again, it's a killer project that essentially just has me sitting here just dying for more when it comes to UK bands, UK artists. Ugly is one of the few that I am truly excited for the future of right now. At number 2, I am going to put Alice Longyu Gao's Assembling Symbols into my own poetry. Alice is a producer, a singer, a songwriter who has also really been playing the long build-up game with one single or one EP release after the next. Let's Hope Heteros Fail was their last EP that dropped in 2023, and that was my EP of the year. This new one over here is also obviously landing pretty high on this list. I think Alice once again smashed it with 8 ultra cheeky and creative tracks that see them embracing more of an art pop and electro pop direction. Not quite as quirky or over the top or as abrasive or jarring as many of the productions from the last EP, but still you get numerous focused, multifaceted, creative highlights such as the very personal Little Piggy or Bird Without Nest featuring Danny Brown, which feels like elements of art rap and Björk coming together. You have insane bangers like Lesbians as well as Korean Girls, quirky ballads like Clingy and Yepper. But yes, with this project, Alice continues to be one of the most unique artists out there today, in my opinion, and I'm just still excited for when they eventually decide to go into full album mode, given just how great these past 2 EPs have been. Then that leaves me with my number 1 spot. That would be Connla's Well from Maruja. This Manchester-based group is really absolutely blowing me away with their material as of late. They are putting together some absolutely fiery recordings and performances when it comes to jazz rock, when it comes to art rock and art punk. Again, like with what I was just saying with the band Ugly, there sort of seems to be something in the water over there at the moment across the pond in terms of just a lot of groups cropping up that are giving us these exciting, thrilling, linear rock songs that are embracing a lot of post-rock type builds, a lot of spoken word vocals, but are coming to some very punky and intense and chaotic conclusions in terms of the performances and, again, just overall intensity of the sound that they're bringing to the table. And Maruja is really like the most standout up-and-coming band when it's come to this new wave at the moment. This project is also an EP that just feels so heavy and substantive and replayable that it really is kind of like hitting with that album level of gratification, even though it is like just a handful of new tracks. But yeah, that is my #1 EP of the year. Relevant links and reviews and info for all of these projects linked down below in the D box. Hopefully you guys got some good recommendations out of this video. Let me know what your favorite EPs of the year were in the comments down below. I know you will. And yeah, that's pretty much everything that I want to say. Thank you for watching. More lists to come. Transition, have you given this list a listen? Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, 2024 EPs of the year, best of forever.